Maybe. We don't know yet.
Right, make sure we're
The segment is young.
The segment is young. All right.
Hey, so we're back.
So we are back. It has been a while.
You had a vacation?
I had a vacation,
Had a lot of time to think.
a lot of time to think, and then after that, don't know what happened. So as you can tell, we are in sync today.
We texted each other in the morning and we made sure that we had the same shirt on.
That's right. That's one of the joy. So topic for today. What do we want to tackle today?
So a topic that's come up in the community, came up at a group about a couple weeks ago, and one of our coaches mentioned it, and I thought it was worth maybe discussing, is what is the difference between an Agile coach and a Scrum Master?
Okay.
So trying to possibly define the differences and give the audience an answer, like when you see this position, this is what that means.
Okay. So I think there's a lot of confusion, and I agree with you that it is a topic that a lot of people talk about, especially when you're recruiting, when you're hiring, trying to get a person coming in to help you run Agile. What does that look like? What position should we call for? What's the growth in terms of career growth for a Scrum Master? And let's talk about a Scrum Master is a Scrum Master. There is nothing else. You don't call them junior, senior, mid-level. You don't call them any of those things. Is that they are a Scrum Master.
Yeah.
I think for me, there's distinction between an Agile coach internal and what I would term as an external coach.
Okay.
So external coach is somebody that we will go bring in and then would coach the more of an enterprise level maybe. So I see the Bob Galen kind of person as an external coach.
So it's almost like a consultant. I'm going to hire you for a certain amount of time. Come look at what we are. Do they do assessments? Do they work with the teams?
They work with teams. They help an organization become agile.
Okay.
Now, this consultant may stay for a while, but over time, the idea in my mind for this consultant is then to help the company establish an agile practice team, or
Okay, so it's to get the thing started internally.
Right.
Okay. I was going to say, so what they're trying to do is inject the mindset and phase themselves out.
And then phase themselves out.
Okay.
Right. And then over time, as we know it, for an organization that is agile, we need the folks that needs to do the work to ensure that the agile practices is continuously moving, continuously improve. Right. So I don't see the Bob Galen doing that. I don't see the consultant doing that. If they are, then that's great, but most of the time they are not, right?
So who would be? So they come in and they build that group. Right. What is that group made up of?
Right.
Who
so
becomes?
Usually when they come in, it's I'm gonna come in. I'm gonna identify people that can become Scrum Master.
Okay.
So they put it from the team level first. Scrum Master. Let me go hire the Scrum Master. The idea of the Scrum Master, in my mind, as the title suggests, is a Scrum Master. Then you're looking in terms of Scrum.
Yeah.
Your knowledge is about Scrum. It's about how to help team run Scrum and run it well.
Yeah. So so they're not experts, but they're very comfortable with that framework.
Yeah, comfortable with it, and to me that's like almost a stepping stone. That's the first bite.
Yeah.
Of Agile that you get is Scrum.
So I got a question: can anyone become a Scrum Master?
I think there are certain traits that we look for.
Yeah.
That make it more successful than anything else. There are a lot of, I think, back practices that people bring in that I think causes problem. So the answer is, I would say no, not everybody can be a Scrum Master. I tend to believe that there are certain skill sets that people are good at. It can be learned.
Yeah.
But how good you are depending on what your inner instinct looks like.
So they're not project managers.
So they're not project managers. So definitely not project. So one of the things that I would say turns me off. If you are coming in and you want to be a Scrum Master, and the first thing you talk about is project management, that turns me off. For me, is the team. If you come in and start using words about team's health, forming, norming, storming, that's good.
Yep.
If you talk about, oh, well, here's the velocity. I'm going to make sure that velocity increases right off the bat. For some reason, I don't like that. So I like the soft touch of getting the team. It's about the servant leadership, right? It's not command and control. So for me, there's this mentality of project managers are very command and control. Now, there are good project managers out there that don't do that. In certain places, they call them agile project managers. For me, it is still not the right call.
Yeah.
So that's from the Scrum side of things. So I see a Scrum Master as the stepping stone. You grew up in there, right? Then over time, as you grow, now you're not just at a team level.
So they will come in, they work for an entry level. If they exhibit all the traits that we're looking for,
Right.
they're just getting their feet wet with it. Their impact is just the recommended impact is one team.
Right.
And that allows them to focus on what the improvements that they can influence within the team, and not only that, but get familiar and comfortable with the role before they try to expand even further.
Right. So I think the Scrum Guide has it right in that it is a team member. You are on the team. As a Scrum Master, you're on the team because you're now very much focused on the team, right? Now, most businesses cannot afford to do that. They tend to say, hey, what does this person do? We need more for them to do. So therefore, they say, well, then you have two teams.
Right.
I think it's stretching a little bit when you do two teams. It can be done depending on the maturity of the teams, how far they are in Agile. Some teams are further along, so you needed less touch from the Scrum Master.
Yes.
If the Scrum Master is really all about self-organization, they do work themselves out of a job.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, the Scrum Master is still needed in my mind.
Yeah, I've been not in conversations, but I've overheard conversations. In my career, when I started off, there was the argument of, well, Scrum Master is not a full-time role. This is a part-time thing. And the answer that I give to that now after years of practicing is if you have the right person and if they're doing it right, it is absolutely a full-time role.
Yes.
Because it's not the bad perception of it is that, oh, they're just going to they're there to run the meetings.
Right.
And they're there to record statistics.
So we have the anti-parents.
Yes.
Anti-parents of a Scrum Master where they are the gatekeeper. If you need to run a meeting, come to the Scrum Master. You must have the Scrum Master to help you schedule a room. You must have the Scrum Master to facilitate a meeting. You must have a Scrum Master to do a retro. That's not what it is. Right? If that's what you look at, then that is absolutely not the Scrum Master.
Okay. You're looking for an event coordinator at that point.
An assistant.
Save the money and get an event coordinator. Right. That's all you want.
That's all you want. That's not what we're looking for.
So what you're saying is a good Scrum Master, yes, facilitates that, but the why or the deeper reason is that they're trying to push whatever team that you allocate them to become eventually high performing by,
That's correct.
Not to get confused with the position Agile Coach, but by coaching them to become proficient in the framework, establish good communication lines, bridge communication when it breaks down, and then there's the product owner. They also play. I almost think a Scrum Master has to know the role of the product owner very well in order to help them as well.
And then I think that is one of my difficulty is, in order for me to help the product owner, I have to be really good as a Scrum Master.
Yeah.
So I think if I were to think about where somebody would start, I almost feel like if you really want to start, you probably start on the PO side and then become a Scrum Master.
Yeah.
You could go from Scrum Master and then, I don't know, and that's the tricky one for myself to think because honestly here I think I'm not as good from the product owner side as I can be.
It takes a certain amount of innovation and just forward thinking, if that's even a term, but to be a product owner. Like
right.
they have to have vision for certain things, and I myself, for certain things I can have a vision, but I sit with some of the product owners that I've worked with, very talented, and I'm like, wow, that is fantastic. I couldn't think of that.
At the end of the day, it's not something that I enjoy doing.
No.
Right? It's not what I love to do. I love the coaching aspect of things. I love the growth of an individual, the team members. That's what I like. I like seeing people grow. So it's very different perspective on that. So that to me is a Scrum Master is at the level of the team.
So let's progress through it. So we've brought in someone in to be a Scrum Master. It's a full-time job. They've been working with this team. What's the next progression for them?
So I think the ability to see the concept of Shu Ha Ri, getting teams from Shu to Ha to Ri, understanding that this is a cycle. It does not end in my mind. It will always be in this cycle. Yeah. Different on different levels.
Oh, that was somebody is hip chatting me.
All right.
Broke his train of thought. Whoever that is, shame on you.
So that definitely did bring my team, right? So once you understand the Shu Ha Ri concept, now you're starting to think, okay, if I have two teams, how do I do that? What do I need to do to run? How different would I run it?
Yeah.
Right. So now you're having a team with the Shu and a team that's Ha. Then you can spend the time with those two teams running that way. Now, once you get the team running, now you're thinking about, well, I've got two teams. How do I get them to communicate with one another? Mm-hmm. Now you also have Scrum. Scrum talks about a team.
Yeah.
You're outside. Now you're scaling.
You're scaled.
So now you got to go
outward.
Look up information about everything else about scaling. Right? The less that, say, whatever it is you're looking out. So you're looking outwards. Right? So to me, that's the progression. Right? To start looking outwards. Once the Scrum Master has acquired that knowledge, I think that's when you see a difference, lack of better terms, between a junior Scrum Master and a senior Scrum Master.
Interesting. Okay.
So not only that, what if the team doesn't want to run Scrum?
They've progressed beyond.
Scrum. What if it's Kanban?
Yeah.
Right. So now you're now, okay, well, I'm a Scrum Master, I'm trained in Scrum, I understand Scrum, well, what is Kanban?
And that's actually a natural progression for teams that you start them off.
Right.
If I were to come up with a progression model for a team, you start them off with Scrum because it's very prescriptive. It's got a lot of stuff. But when they become Ha and Ri, when things have just become natural to them,
it could be just running Kanban.
It's Kanban is like, yeah, we don't need the time boxes because we already getting stuff done quickly, and we're just flowing through our work at this point.
I don't subscribe to pure Kanban today. I may when I first started out. Today I see if you have more than one team, so you have two teams, three teams trying to work together in sync, like us, the same color. But if you're trying to get working as an organization, as multiple teams, now, to me, now you need to add certain things on top. So the ceremonies, getting people in sync, the planning has to happen, right? So Kanban doesn't have that aspect of it. So to us, you look at the 5 levels of planning. The roadmap planning has to happen. The prop planning has to happen. All this planning has to come in play. And so I don't see the pure Kanban as a benefit in that level because you need those ceremonies. You need a retrospective. Yeah. Right? So now you're looking into more of a Scrumban, where you have a Kanban flow, but you're still observing the ceremonies. Not all, but I would say some, right? Yeah. Even the daily stand-up is critical, retrospective is critical. There is no sprint review, right? There's no sprint planning, but backlog refinement is critical. Your prop planning is critical. Your roadmap planning is critical because you're trying to get multiple teams running.
So then, senior Scrum Master, they've expanded beyond the team. They've expanded probably beyond the Scrum framework.
Right.
And now they're thinking in terms of how do we interface with each other?
That's right.
How do we get multiple teams to interface with each other? And how do we get them to interface with each other if they're using different frameworks?
That's correct.
So they have to have not only now they've grown beyond the understanding of Scrum. Now they understand, okay, so this is Kanban. This team's running Scrum. Scrumban is this.
Yeah.
So they have an understanding. They've grown. They've expanded their knowledge. So that's like the senior Scrum Master.
So I think that's to me is when you transition into what's called an internal agile coach for me, right? So
Okay.
you're now a coach, not because you understand all this aspect of it now. So you're now potentially coaching a Scrum Master,
Yeah.
right? You've been through it. You've gone through the career path. You've gone through and done the work. So you understand what it takes. So you're now able to coach somebody else that is on the team level.
Okay.
So I see a differentiation in that. So I believe the industry, the community, the market is moving in that direction. So we have internal coaches, and that's who they are. To be an internal coach, sometimes they may not come from a Scrum Master. You know,
Right.
they may be
True.
a manager. They may have previous things that deals with teams, and they understand that aspect of things, and that allows them. So there's this not fear, but unhappiness towards people that all of a sudden this person is now a coach, an
Right.
agile coach. They call them an agile coach. Wow, really?
There's also not only that, but it's almost an internal coach. I almost get the feeling that the folks who are external coaches who've been consulting almost look down upon
Yes. And
that.
then-
Oh, you're just an internal coach.
That's correct.
You can't affect much change.
That's correct.
But
But there's some truth in that, right?
There is, because when you're so to kind of differentiate the senior Scrum Master, I like that middle level, but I think what really gets you into the coaching realm, and from our experience, is when that Scrum Master is not only working with the teams, but they are comfortable enough that they not only see the teams, but they branch out beyond
Right.
whatever their division is. Pigeonholed in the engineering, but they can be anything.
Right.
They can actually interface cross
That's correct.
the organization.
Right.
Like at that point is like when you're becoming a true coach, agile coach.
Right.
And it's agile coach because it's the mindset.
It's a mindset.
We don't care about the frameworks. It's framework agnostic.
That's correct.
Each division or each department may have a preferred different way of working, and that's okay.
Right.
But if you're an internal coach, you are faced with the one challenge that I think that is very obvious is
Yes.
you are inside the organizational
That's right.
structure. So how much can you really fight and push
Right.
from within?
Yeah.
Whereas an external coach, you don't have that fear of if I say that is pretty stupid, we shouldn't be doing that. They're okay, you're in my contract, that's fine, I'll just go away. Whereas an internal coach, there's that if I say that's really stupid, I can get fired or I can get shunned, and you know what? That's my paycheck.
Yeah, and I think that's the traditional way. The command and control is still in play. Right?
Yeah.
Because I hire you, therefore you are under my control. You're gonna do what I tell you to do,
Right.
and there is no transparency. There's no ability to have a conversation, an open, honest conversation. Right? You don't
Agreed.
have that luxury. Now, there are organizations that may have that, and if organizations are able to get to that level, then it is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But most are not able to get to that level.
I think that so to flip the tables, because I've always heard the external coaches have the advantage because they don't have
Yes.
ties. I would almost argue that internal coaches, and the way I'm seeing it, is they have an advantage as well, is that because they're within the organization, if they're doing their job correctly,
Mm-hmm.
they're building trust
Yep.
that honestly is more impactful than somebody externally coming in and saying, no, you should do this, that, or the other. When you make a suggestion and there's trust in the room, it goes further along. Because if it's an external, it's like, well, they told us this, but I mean, does it really mean, is it really impactful for
So
us?
I think here's one of the things that I think to counter that to what you're saying is that when you say a consultant, you look to them because they have been to multiple organizations and look at multiple different ways of things.
That is true.
That's their experience.
Yes.
An internal coach may not have that opportunity to look at it a different way or try different things.
It's the multiple perspectives.
So
Absolutely.
So I think it's a combination way. To be successful, I think you need to have both. You need to have an external coach able to reach out an external coach and pull that person in when you need it, and have an internal coach that can also navigate the waters between.
I mean, how many times have you had made a suggestion from within,
Yeah,
and it falls on deaf ears?
that's right.
And then you reach out to somebody like Bob and say, "Hey, can you help me out with this?" And they come in and they say almost the exact same thing, and
Right.
it's like, "Oh my God,
Yeah.
really?" And it's like, "Oh,
It's the same.
okay."
It's the same thing as us when you go to conferences, right? You go in, you listen, and you,
Yes.
oh well, he's an expert because he's a speaker. He says so. Oh, cool.
Yep.
Now, even though your internal coach may have said the same thing, we don't listen.
Yep. It's natural. I think it's natural to, you're like, "Oh, you're one of us," and whatever. You're good.
So, have we answered the difference between a Scrum Master and Agile Coach? Is it clear enough?
I think that we showed the progression of, it's almost like a different levels.
Right.
So within coaches, you've got your internal and your externals. Externals come in and they do some consulting, and they may have a lot of varied experience throughout the industry. An internal coach is hired from within, impact from within. Then you've got your Scrum Master, and I'm going through this. Scrum Master is very familiar with Scrum. That is their framework. That is
Right.
their thing. Their impact is at the one team level.
Right.
And as they grow in their knowledge, and as the team moves in the Shuhari model, it gives them an opportunity to, well, I don't have to spend that much time with this team. I can work with another team and then try to figure out how to interface with multiple teams, possibly across the board. And then when they start to branch out beyond what they're working on and maybe going cross department and showing the value of incremental delivery, then they become almost like and that's when they become the internal coach.
So folks, if you're listening to this, then this is our view or my view of how this looks like. I mean, it is a very controversial view because there are very, very good coaches out there today that have now reverted back and no longer call themselves a coach. They said, I am a Scrum Master because as a Scrum Master in their eyes, they see a lot more. Case in point, Barry Odin, great guy, right? So he's, if you look at his career, Scrum Master, coach, and now today, if you ask him, he'll say, I'm a Scrum Master.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he calls himself. He's a Scrum. Now, even though he's very, very experienced. So that's the difference today. Now, would I call myself a coach? Every time when I say that, there is a fear in me that people think that I have all this knowledge. So I will always say, hey, I'm an internal Agile coach. That's what my title is at these solutions. Whatever you can call what I do somewhere else, it could be a Scrum Master, and that's fine. But that's how I see the world from our organizations. To me, it's simple enough because honestly, there is a question about if you were to ask the career path of a Scrum Master, then you are in the wrong place. I've had people say that to me. Why are you asking that? As if you're a coach, there is no coach.
No.
You look at a coach is a coach is a coach, right?
Yeah.
But a coach, when you look at NFL, you have all these different coaches. They get paid differently.
Yep.
Right. So how do you differentiate one from the other?
I think it's the impact level. What impact do they have in your organization?
What impact? Yep.
At the end of the day, when you look at Scrum Master and the soft skills, the soft things about a Scrum Master, like servant leadership and all that, is that if you were to make the football coach, a Scrum Master is like a coach for wide receivers. Their group is wide receivers, and that's all they care about. And then they progress as they go from wide receivers. Maybe they become an offensive coordinator, and then from offensive coordinator they become a head coach.
Is there a difference also from minor league, going up to major league, going to, say, for example, I'm a coach for a elementary school, middle school.
It's their progression.
It's a progression, right?
Yeah.
You go through the progression. Are they a coach? Absolutely, they're a coach along the way.
And it's based on their experience, their knowledge, and and not only that, but how do they work with a team? How do they work with teams? And how do they work with organization in general? I think that, again, it is our opinion, and there's various opinions out there, but it's a hot topic. It's something that I think we feel strongly about. In my experiences in different organizations, I learned, how you grow as a Scrum Master and what you want to call it. It doesn't matter what you want to call it, but as a Scrum Master, you grow in the impact, not don't look for titles. Look for how are you going to impact the organization that you're with, and the titles come along with it later on down the road.
Love it.
That was good.
Awesome.
See what happens? He goes on vacation and we hit home runs. He comes back with a fresh mind.
Fresh mind. Clean slate.
Clean slate. I am going on vacation in 2 weeks. I will have that same thing too.
And then I'll go on vacation too.
There you go. We're just gonna keep doing this.
All right, folks. If you have followed us till this point, thank you for staying in there and listening to us talk and have a conversation. We would love to hear from you. Put a comment out there. Let us know you are listening. Subscribe, or just comment.
Yeah.
Put a like, dislike. We love to hear your views.
If you got ideas about topics that you're concerned about or have been hearing about, put it in the comment list. We'll look at it and we'll add it to our upcoming talks.
All right, thank you. This is Master Asian Call.
And C-Rod.
Bye.